I guess I'm gonna have to ask one of them to go check, cause I asked, I don't know who the young lady, the woman that sits in the front, I asked her to make copies.
Traffic, he said he was about 10 minutes away. Call me on the way here. He's still on that.
So what we'll do is, we can go ahead and get started, and then we'll bring whatever, wherever we are,
Okay.
and then we'll bring it in so that
Okay.
you can give it to me. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, it is 1:01 p.m. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us online and in person. The Henry County Board of Elections and Registration meeting will come to order. We will follow the agenda. I will turn it over to Vice Chair Collins for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, if you all would please join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you on this day. We give you thanks for this day. Lord, we invite you into this meeting of the Board of Elections of Henry County. Lord, we invite you in that our meeting may be held in order and in decency, with integrity and respect for one another and our public. Lord, may this board conduct its business for the best for the citizens of Henry County. Be with us today. And we thank you for all that you have made provision for. And we give you thanks. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have on the agenda, the acceptance of the agenda. Board, please review, and are there any amendments to the agenda? I do want to let the public know that we do have a guest, Ballot DA. They are running a few minutes late, so we will move on with the agenda until Ballot DA arrives. Okay, can I have a vote accepting the agenda, a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved, Madam Chair. I second.
Have a vote? Majority? Thank you. We're going to move on to acceptance of the board minutes, September 7th board minutes. Can I have a motion to accept those minutes?
Madam Chair, I'd like to offer a motion to accept the minutes from September 7th, 2022, September 27th, 2022 special call meeting.
I second.
Any discussion? Let's have a vote. It's a majority. Thank you. Director Pitts, do we have anyone here from Ballot DA?
No.
Okay. We're going to move on to the director report.
Good afternoon, Board and the public of Henry County constituents. My direct report today will begin with, I have the totals for active and inactive voter registrants. For active, we have 167,853. Again, there are 167,353 active voters. For inactive, we have 19,531. Again, for inactive, we have 19,531. I will move forward to our absentee. So for absentee by mail, we have received a total of 3,515. And both of these totals are dated as of October 4th. We are current with our absentee by mail being mailed out. And it's actually a lower number than I had anticipated. But we are steadily getting applications in. Moving forward, we are still in the process of logic and accuracy testing. We have completed the BMDs for all locations for early voting and for election day, and we're moving forward now to complete the scanners. And we're looking to have it completely done by early next week. The process has been a smooth process. We actually did have one visitor to come by and observe. It was a pleasant experience, and we're just moving forward with that. Everything's looking good. Also, I want to note that early voting begins in less than 2 weeks. We're right at it, October 17th. We're pumped up and excited. We have all locations prepared and filled for early voting. At all locations, we have poll workers to complete those locations. And for election day, we still have 3 locations that I feel after this morning, we will definitely have those filled before the end of the week, possibly today. Some of those people that have applied, some of the things that we have come in contact with is wanting, of course, more money, and then not wanting the obligation of having to be there as early as they do, and then the continuance through the evening without a time frame. So although a lot of people do come out and they apply, once they come get interviewed, be more acquainted of what is expected, then some people actually decide that that's not a better move for them. So that has pushed us where we actually have 3 locations that are not filled, but I had 2 people just yesterday and also one this morning that expected, letting us know that we were expecting to hear from us, and I explained some of the things to them, what to deal with, and they were willing to do it, so we're hoping that we can have that totally completed by today. Also, campaign disclosures for election officials and candidates. Today is the last day to submit your reports. It needs to be done by 11:59 p.m. today. Again, for elected officials as well as candidates that have to do their campaign disclosure reports, it was due September 30th. They have a 5-day grace period, and today is the last day, 11:59 p.m. Just want to give that note. Also, we have a tentative date of a move-in date into our new facility. So we've discussed some planning, and we're hoping to make this a solid date within the next week or two, but we're looking at January 9th to move in and to have a ribbon cutting February 6th. And again, these are tentative, it's not exact yet, but I just wanted to let you all know different things that we've been discussing with the planning of the move. And that is all for my director's report. As far as my status report, board requests, there were none. And so that completes my director report. Are there any questions from you all?
Yes, Director Pitts, is there an update on the polling location replacing in Ellenwood, I believe?
Yes, ma'am. At the previous special call meeting, you all did vote that we would use Village at North Henry, and we got that locked in. That date was already reserved and scheduled for us. I have submitted to the Henry Herald to do it is by law we have to do it in the legal section, but because we had to do an emergency change at such last minute, I did a public display run for 2 weeks. I'm also posting that onto the county website as well as our social media.
Also, Director Pitts, because we have the finalization of that polling station, I'd like to make a request to get a list of all those polling precincts like we did for the last election, so that the board, so that we can split those up for election day, so that we can make our rounding.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Director Pitts, can you tell us about how many poll workers we have that are committed for this election? Do you have that number?
Our estimate it's about 470, but I can get a more accurate count number for you and send it out to the entire board.
Okay, and would you please share to the public, just so those who have called or submitted applications or wanted to be a poll worker, and if you would just let them know, those that have tried and maybe didn't get a call back, or something as to maybe why, because we may have had a lot of people actually applying and you may have met your numbers, but I don't want to speak for you, but if you don't mind sharing with the public.
Yes, just a couple of weeks ago, we actually found out from a constituent reaching out to me asking to be a poll worker and saying that they had applied online. And just being who I am with us trying to reconstruct our website, make sure that information that is needed there, information that's not needed there, I decided to go out into the website to see whether they actually do their application online, and found a link that actually accepted applications that were sent to our Easy Vote program that we work with that we didn't know about. It was a tab, it was an area that we didn't know to go into, and we found thousands of applications. So where we before thought, oh no, we don't have enough poll workers, we got overloaded with some. Some of them were duplicates, of course, but in actuality, we end up finding a lot. So if some people were not selected, it wasn't anything that they just was not necessarily qualified for, because what we do is go through our list of people that just show interest, and we invite them in to explain the process, what's expected. We do a small interview, and then it's up to them at that point, as I was explaining before, to make the decision whether or not to go forward with poll worker training and to actually be a poll worker. So that may be some of the reasons why some people that were not contacted, but just rest assured now that we have that, we are working on filtering out duplicates as well as making backup lists. So that could be some of the reasons.
Thank you. So, Director Pitts, help me understand. You said there was a link that you weren't aware of.
Yes, we have a link on one of the tabs that said forms that actually had a poll worker application. But once I went out there along with Catherine, I think me and her discussed it, there was a link that took you to like an electronic form for an application that wasn't aware were there. And so at that point, we talked with Greg Whiten, who is the coordinator for our Easy Vote program, and he discussed it with us and found out how that link in the applications actually went over to an area of the program we weren't aware of. So we got educated on that.
And
So
this was a county link, correct?
no, it is not a county link. It's an Easy Vote link, if I'm
Easy
correct.
Vote link. Okay. So it's a state link.
Easy Vote is actually a program. It's a company that's similar, not kind of sort of like Ballot DA that will be speaking today. As they're a vendor that has a program, this is also a vendor that has a program that assists us with early voting, where you come in and they print out the application, being able to put into the system and compare between ElectionNet as well as the Easy Vote. people that have voted to, be accountable of knowing who has voted already and where and whatnot, being that early voting can, vote in any polling precinct. That's what Easy Vote is.
Yes.
So Director Pitts, for clarity, the applications that you would normally receive will come directly to your office
Yes, ma'am.
in another format or platform?
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt. They normally would actually just walk in. They would either walk in, send an email explaining I have interest in being a poll worker. We would then forward them an application. And also, the state sends out a spreadsheet of people that show interest in our county. They do it for all counties, but for the ones for Henry County, they do receive information for people that are interested, and they forward those to us as well.
Okay, so normally people wouldn't fill out an application online? They would just express their interest by contacting the office?
Correct.
Or sending an email or some form?
Correct.
Or the state will send you the people who are interested who've contacted them?
That is correct.
Okay.
And that's why when the individual expressed that, I went to fish and figure out exactly what they were speaking of.
So how did people find out about this link and submit an application? Do you know?
I do
Have-
not. I
okay.
did not reach out and ask that person, and I just moved forward with making sure that we made contact with, I made contact with my poll worker coordinator to reach out to that person to make sure that we got their information, as well as to figure out where they exactly went to know how did they get to that point.
I'm just a little concerned, because if it didn't come from the county or it didn't come from the state, if it's a vendor, I don't know if the state has a contract with this vendor.
The state is
Yeah.
very well known with Easy Vote. We've worked with Easy Vote for years. It is not, I hope that you can trust that it's not nothing of concern. It was just lack of not knowing that there was a link out there under poll worker, and that link actually was able to do online application.
Okay.
The link is actually on our website.
I can't hear.
She was explaining that the link is actually on our website, the county elections website, but it was a link there that I was not aware of. We didn't know, and that's what drawed me to go look and search for it when I spoke and corresponded with the constituent that wanted to be the poll worker. I went to go see where online, because I'm used to whether we're getting a list from state or I'm used to someone walking in saying, hey, we would like to vote. That was draw my attention to find out where online did they get this.
What was the total number of poll workers you needed?
It was right at 4. I don't have an exact, I'm guessing off the top of my head, about 460, 450. We have 470, if I'm not correct. I will send you our correct numbers. And we have a backup list for early voting. We've had a tremendous submission of applications wanting to do early voting. So we do have a backup list, because at times, being that early voting is 3 weeks and it is consecutive, we do have a backup list if someone come to a situation where they're not able to continue. We have people that are willing to come in.
So you've actually approved 470 poll workers?
Yes.
To work, okay.
And that's an estimate. Like I said, we had some more that were brought in. They're scheduled to come do a small interview and go over the process and talk to them about where they're needed. Because sometimes, being that Henry is so big, you do have people that, if we say we need someone on the north side, but let's say they stay on the south side, they're not willing to travel. So we do run into those things as well. But I'll give you a more accurate number, and I'll send it out to the board, so that way you have the exact number.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board for Director Pitts? Okay. Director Pitts, I think I see our guest from Ballot DA.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you want to introduce
Yes.
introduce him and lead us into that discussion.
Yes, so Ballot DA is a program that will assist us, helping us not only with poll worker. He has an amazing program that helps with training the poll workers, whether it's in person or virtual. And it also has a way of us keeping up with the number of poll workers, where they are, the process of payroll. They also have a portion of it that helps with open records requests. He's better to explain it to you. Siri, if you'll step up. And we welcome you to Henry County, and I'm going to turn the mic over to you. This is my board. This is Chair Finney, Vice Chair Collins, and Board Member Schmelz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, I apologize for being 10 minutes late, stuck in the traffic. It's an honor to be in front of the board, and I have met some of you during the Gavrio conference, where we exhibited the Ballot DA. And it's more like a mission for me personally. I'm an immigrant here. 22 years back, I came to this country. Never thought that I would live in this country, become a citizen, and start contributing to local government automation. In the last 16 years, we have worked with several counties in Georgia, and our commitment is to automate some of these mundane, repetitive tasks that so many counties have to go through. This is the background of why we created Ballot DA. As she rightly pointed out, there are some modules that we have in Ballot DA, 4 different modules, one for asset management, another one for poll worker, training, automation, and the third one is for absentee ballot tracking, and the fourth one is the FOIA, open records. Today, I wanted to talk to you about one pilot offer that we want to make for the Henry County. Yes. We have created a pilot website for Henry County. By the way, Douglas County, Whitfield County, Wilkinson, and few other counties are already there onboarded with that solution. What it does for you, Henry County: 1, you have the ability to create a registration page for your poll workers to register, number 1. Number 2, if you already have the list, I just heard that you have around 470 poll workers. If you have them in an Excel sheet, you can bring them into the portal seamlessly just by doing import poll worker option. Number 3, after you import the poll workers, each of your poll worker will have the ability to go to the website and access all the training videos. Now, we have seen, meeting with 40 plus counties in the last, say, 8 months in person, one of the major challenges that counties have is to train all the poll workers. Because sometimes, like, you bring them in, you train them for, say, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then the retention of, like, during the training, so many things are taught with respect to election equipment, with respect to forms, with respect to closing procedures. Sometimes it's very difficult to retain everything and then execute it on the election day. What we have done, we have made simple videos, 3 to 5 minute videos, so that the poll workers can see it again and again at their convenience. And then we also have list of assessment questions that they can take. For example, I watch a video and then I answer 5 or 6 questions that's created by Director Page or anybody in the staff. What happens with that is we have a validation that this particular poll worker went through the training, they were able to answer the questions, and as you see the training status, you are able to see, yes, they're good, and then give them different roles for different precincts. Then you can assign them to different polling locations and give them roles. Okay, you are the manager, polling manager, you are the assistant manager. Because you know, based on how they did in the assessments, this is optional. It's not like you should change your process, but it creates ability for the poll managers to decide, like, you know what, who is good in what of the list of poll workers. That's one. Second, from a poll worker standpoint, even if I didn't focus very well during the training, say I was sick, I didn't do a good job of listening to the instructor, I have an opportunity to go and learn online. I think that's one important thing. Now, the Ballot DA poll worker module will reduce administrative time. How do I say this? I was out in White County 2 weeks back, and then they said on an average they spend 10 to 15 minutes for every poll worker certificate. They are talking about administrative tasks related to the poll worker. They have to verify the poll worker, and they have to see then whether they attended the training and everything, and then issue them a certificate as per state requirement. The whole process, they said, it takes around 10 to 15 minutes per poll worker. Now, if you extrapolate that, right, even say, let's say 10 minutes to make sure that the poll worker is validated, assigned to a precinct, and they issued a certificate, 470 poll workers times 10 minutes. That's the time the administration spends on an average. I don't know the exact time, but that definitely can be reduced because we have a template in the Henry County, henry.ballotda.com. We have a template where all these certificates are auto-generated upon approval by the staff, whoever is responsible to approve them. Once they are approved, the certificates are available digitally. So it can be sent to them digitally, or you can print them, and it makes life super easy for the election staff with respect to this poll worker administration. And last but not the least, everyone wants payroll, right? So we need to give the handoff. How many people attended the training? How many people came to the advance voting and then on the election day voting? And all the details are there in our system. You click a button, it downloads that in a CSV format or a PDF format that can be handed over to the payroll. So these are the reasons why I encourage the county, the board to consider Ballot DA pilot. Now, what is the cost? For the pilot, we are not charging anything. It is available for you to test during this election and then make a decision for next year. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
I have several questions. Thank you. First of all, thank you for taking the time to join us today and sharing that information and answering our questions ahead of time. As far as the pilot, I know you said that there's a pilot website, and what I would like to know is the data that is uploaded and shared on that website from our county.
Yes.
Where does that data go? Who owns that data? And if we decide not to purchase, what happens to that data?
Excellent question. First thing, we have created a separate instance, cloud instance for Henry County. It resides in AWS, Amazon Web Services, and it is behind a secure firewall. Except for technical support, our team will not even access it. Nobody has access to that data without credentials. For example, once we hand it over to Director Pitts and her staff, they can modify, change the password so that nobody else will access that unless there is any technical support requirement. Now, where is the data stored? It is stored securely in the cloud, behind the firewall, and the Amazon Web Services is being used by so many counties, state departments, and federal agencies. Very secure. You cannot break into that. Now, having said that, your data is secure. Anything that's related to PII information. For example, if you keep information about the poll worker, then the address and the date of birth, things like that, we can encrypt the entire table. In some cases, they have asked us to encrypt select fields like the date of birth field, Sometimes we keep the last 4 digits of social security number that gets encrypted so that nobody can see it. In some cases, what they said is, hey, we don't want to store any of the sensitive information in your system. They keep it in the HR. What they have is just the name of the poll worker and the address. That's all they have. Now, we can work with your team to decide like what information that needs to be kept there. And to answer your question, it is stored securely in AWS. It is in a database where key fields can be encrypted. And who has access? Only your staff will have access. We will get to it. We do have access to AWS instance. We'll get to it only to provide support. Let's say if the system is not available for whatever reason, we get in to assist. Now, you asked one more question. If we decide not to pursue Ballot DA, we clear that instance and will delete every single data that you imported.
And what's that process look like? How do you clear that data? What do
Good
you
question.
do?
In AWS, there is something called instance. You can create it using EC2 and Lightsail. These are technical words, but the idea is like to provision something. It's almost like building a computer. It's all virtual in the cloud. Once the decision is made, what we do is there is an option to delete. We do take snapshots. Snapshots are backups, just like how you keep a backup in the external. So snapshots are done just to make sure that we can recover during the pilot. If you have any questions or if you have a need to restore, we can restore. What we'll do, we'll delete not only the instance that we created for Henry County and also any other backups that we may have. Assume if the decision is made the other way where you wanted to pursue it, you have built everything, so you're all set for next year elections.
So my next question is, and I thank you, Board, for being patient with me. If we were to decide to purchase, then you said this is a separate website. Would that information be moved from that separate website, or is it because it's in the Amazon cloud that wouldn't need to be moved? It's already on.
Correct. It's already provisioned. It's a great point. If you decide to move in a direction where we want to pursue that, example being, say, Douglas or other counties, Whitfield, they are all our customers, existing customers. What we did is we created separate instances. Our solution is unique because generally when you see any of these cloud-based solutions, they have something called multi-tenant model. You may have seen Salesforce and other things where in the same database, all different customer data is kept. In our solution, you have your own instance. There is a physical separation. There is also a logical separation. Physical separation, which means like you have your own instance. If you move it from pilot to production, the same instance we can give you the production license and go live with that. If you don't want, we can delete it and move it out. And at any point of time, if director pets or others want to download all the data, we have multiple formats through which they can download the data. You can download Excel, you can download the PDF. There are multiple ways through which you can download the data and then delete that. So, did I answer your question?
Yes.
Thank
The next question I have is about the training videos that are readily available.
Yes.
The other counties, you shared that other counties here in Georgia are already using the pilot.
Correct.
Have they had to create customized videos, or have they been able to use the videos out the box? I asked that question because if we were to go with the pilot, I'm concerned about the workload that the staff will have to take on, and could they use it right out of the box?
Good question again. There are 3 different categories of videos out there. The first one is Ballot DA videos. We have around 18 videos that we made after watching the election process in its entirety, and each of them, as I said, is 3 to 5 minute videos. That's bundled as part of the solution. Number 1. Number 2, Secretary of State has provided around 15 to 20 videos, standard videos that they give to counties. What we did, we took time to integrate that into our solution. so that when you offer it to the poll workers, they can watch Ballot DA videos, they can watch Secretary of State videos. Now the third one is kind of very interesting. Some of the counties decided to make their own videos, which is very custom to, let's say in this case, Henry County. We may have a video where you say, oh, very custom to Henry County, a polling location. This polling location, there's a parking lot issue, so park it somewhere else. It can be as simple as that. Or it could be county laws. You may have specific things that you want to do on top of what's agreed as the state law. That can be put into videos, and as long as you have an MP4 or MP4 when I say the video format, or you have it in a YouTube link, or you have it somewhere in a cloud link, we can easily integrate that into the system. Now, we will also provide training for your staff members so they can do it themselves. They don't have to depend on us. There is an admin function in the application that helps you to integrate custom videos into the platform seamlessly. So that's the third one. So which means you get the best of the breed. One, Ballot DA videos that are generic for Georgia, Secretary of State provided videos, custom videos that are created internally in Henry County. All of them can be part of the same video library. More importantly, one county wanted to create poll manager videos, because poll managers, they have some additional responsibility. So you can have specific videos just for the poll managers, and then give them privilege. When they log in, they will see the additional videos. When a poll worker logs in, they won't see that. So that makes it more robust. Like, you can build on this. And, one of the other counties, they asked like, hey, Suri, how about we want to give some videos for the county staff? What to do on the election day? Because election day communication can be crazy because there are so many calls coming in, so many things, which to prioritize, things like that. But we are, as we learn, right, we have this wonderful framework where we have accommodated this, and it will be a learning process. And I'm positive that through this Henry County experience or other counties, we are going to learn more, and we are going to build this platform further to benefit all the counties in Georgia. As a matter of fact, I got a call today from Florida. Somebody told about Ballot DA to some counties in Florida. We are not even marketing in Florida yet. I got a call this morning. So I'm very positive that this solution will grow as we learn, and we are committed to make this election process smooth.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Exactly how long is the pilot? How long will Henry County be allowed to use the program? I know you said this election season, but how many weeks, or is it a month, 2 months, 3 months that they'll be allowed to use this to see how it works?
This pilot license is for the general elections, also the runoff. So we have November elections, and if there is a runoff in December, it includes that. Our licensing is generally for the entire election cycle. When I say that, starts when May, possible runoff in July is June, and then if there are any special elections the following January, that's also included. That's how we do this. So this pilot license is for 2022-2023 election cycle, which already started like May, all the way till any special election in January. So that is the coverage. Now, if you want to continue to use it, that would be the production license for next election year cycle, which will be 2023 May, municipal elections, all the way till the 2024 January. Then the next election cycle. So it's generally the licenses are for the election cycle. We are giving it free for this election cycle. Did I answer your question?
You did. I just wanted to make sure if we're participating in this, that there's ample time to really utilize the program to see how well it works.
Sure.
I do have a question regarding contract cost.
Yes.
And I'd like to know if there's a set amount or is cost based on, say, for example, the size of a county?
Very good question. So we are those counties that participate in the pilot, like in this case the Henry County. Like we have identified 10 different counties. Those all get the early bird advantage in terms of licensing, which will not change in future years. For this module, the amount is $4,800, unlimited poll workers, which means today you have 470. It may be 480 next year, or it may go to 500 next election cycle. But this particular module cost is for every election cycle, which means if you have 4 election cycles through which you do poll worker training, right? You will have the same cost. That $4,800 per year is the module subscription licensing. So if you choose to continue next year, that would be the cost for next year. Did I answer your question?
You did, and I have one other question,
Yes.
and this will be my final question. I may have missed this. Can you tell me how long has Ballot
DA?
DA been around?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The company Sunline that promotes Ballot DA, we've been around for 10 years. We have provided different solutions for different counties and commercial organizations in Georgia. Our primary focus is Georgia. We are based in Georgia. We're registered in Georgia, and our office is in Norcross. Now, Ballot DA has been around for 18 months. It started with one county asking for, hey, we need this election automation. That's where it started. Now, surely, but we are learning, and we have implemented this in several counties. In some counties, it is the asset management solution, where you track all the election assets in your county, poll pads, BMDs, where they are, and the life cycle management of the election assets. In some counties, it is FOIA, it's open records tracking. In some other counties, it is the poll worker training. The poll worker training was used by Douglas, Whitfield, Wilkinson in the last election, like May election. Now this election, we have added few more counties that they will be using for the upcoming November election.
My next question is piggybacking off of what Board Member Smeltz asked about the contract price. Does that include any technical support, or do you have to pay extra for that? What does that include?
Good question. So this is a truly tested solution, so you will not have a lot of technical support, but the price does include that technical support. Like if there is anything like that is included, bundled. That's why it's a very special price that's bundled. And this price is only for the select list of like the pilot counties that we have included. The list price, if you ask me like, hey, assume we were not part of the pilot, like what is the list price? It was $50 per election cycle per poll worker. That was the list price that we originally had. And what you are getting, like based on your size, it's like, let's say if you take 480 poll workers, just to round it off, you're paying $4,800 per year. So it's $10 per poll worker. If you further divide it to 4 elections, you're paying $2.50 for the entire training, which is less than what you would pay for a poll worker if they come in person and train. And a lot of counties are doing both, where they are doing in-person training as well as online training. The biggest advantage of online training as a provision is some poll workers, for whatever reason, they want to participate in the election process, they are not able to show up on the training day.
For that price, you get the videos, the software, the data is in the Amazon cloud.
Correct.
You say you get the technical support.
Yes.
That includes any upgrades, updates, software
Now,
updates.
Good question. I want to be clear about the updates. As long as it is something to do with the system updates and all, which we are supposed to do, it's included. But assume that Henry County says, hey, I have this payroll system. I want to upgrade the software to integrate with my system. That may be a separate charge. You understand, right? Something where it's outside of the scope. The scope is registration of poll workers, ability for the poll workers to view all the training and participate in the training, take assessments, and hand off to the payroll on who attended the training. Those things are all included. What's not included is, assume you say, hey, you have the database, I want the database to link to some XYZ third-party system. That's not included.
However, if that was needed, you will work.
Absolutely.
with-
We'll
but
work
it will
with
be-
you.
however, it will be a separate price.
That will be a separate but mostly it will be a one-off project because you're not doing integration again and again. You'll do one-time integration. We've done some integrations for some of the counties where they will ask, hey, build one API that will take this and connect and hand off, provide the handoff file somewhere else. So.
Okay, thank you. I have one other question, and not sure who could answer it over there. It may be Ms. Samuel or County Manager Matthews, I don't know. When a department wants to bring on a third-party system, does it have to go through technical or security for a review before it's brought on? Does that question make sense?
Mics are on, 1 second. This one.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I think I've understood your question correctly. Does it have to go through any type of security?
Yes.
Let me start with any type of system such as this would first have to go through our procurement process. Unless this is a sole source vendor. And so if it is the desire of this board to procure this type of system, then the first step would be for us to go through purchasing. At that point, once purchasing has determined if it is or is not a sole source, then our technology services group would actually be a part of it. So technology would definitely be a part of the process. We do prefer systems to be on their own cloud and not hosted on our internal system just because of security reasons. But again, we would need to go through purchasing first, and that's where all of the internal technology issues would be defined, or at least worked out. So I hope did that answer your question, Chair?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. Mhm.
Madam County Manager, could you just, for the public and maybe some of us board members, give us a definition of sole source?
So sole source
Vendor.
is simply that this vendor is the only one that can provide this level of service, and or they have something specific in their application that another vendor does not have the ability to provide. So I hope that is my layman's term of sole source. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Board Member Mills. Yes.
Okay, you mentioned that this can be offered at a special price of $4,800.
Correct.
For the license to use this program.
Per election cycle.
For the per election cycle. What I want clarity on, because she made reference to the number of poll workers, that we gave a number of 470, 480. And so if we had 500 poll workers, does that number change?
No, it will not.
Okay.
Because this is a bundled price that we are offering to the pilot customers. I call it as a bundled price, which will not change.
Okay. Okay.
Did I answer your question?
You did. I was trying to see if it was, if the number of poll workers affected that price.
Great point. It's a good question. I want to make sure, like, some of our competition, like, they have poll worker registration, they have poll worker attendance, they have poll worker handoff. What they don't have is custom videos integration, or Secretary of State videos integration, or ability to create the regular videos that we already have, the Ballot DA videos. They don't have it. That's one difference between our competition and what we do. And we also have this unique assessment link. There are some software, they provide the videos, but there is no connection to the assessment, which is customizable by your county staff. Just to make sure, like, I make the distinction of why we are unique in this aspect.
Okay, that was a question that I did have actually, was regarding the, you said we can customize our videos. I wanted to ask, I think you just said it, we can customize our own assessment as well.
That is correct. You can customize the assessment as well. So for example, if Fulton has 5 answers for a question, you may choose to have only 4. That's your decision. You can modify it the way you want. And when you actually create that, you can also mark the correct answers. And that way you can see the assessment score at the end of the day when you go to the training status screen, where each of the poll worker, you can see how many videos they watched, how many assessments they took, how much they scored. And that is a ready reference for the administrator.
Okay, one last question, I promise. Can our poll workers or staff access these videos and assessments on a mobile device?
Yes.
Okay.
So another good question. Our solution is mobile responsive. It is the way we created it is you can access this from mobile device, from a tablet. Right? It can be a phone, it can be a tablet. It will render well automatically. So yes.
Okay. Board, any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much. We
thank
really
you.
appreciate your time. These were questions that the entire board wanted to ask and have more information before there's a decision to move forward. I'm not quite, thank you. You can have a seat. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, and we would love to serve Henry County. Thanks.
Thank you. I would like some guidance on whether I would like to see we go through the procurement process first before the pilot, because I would really like the technology piece, the security piece, looked at before the pilot would even take place. I'm just concerned about that. I would just like for a peace of mind first. Any thoughts on that, board?
I don't. I think that's excellent. I know that you have to go through procurement. One of the other things is that I'd like to hear from some of the other counties regarding their experiences from the last election also.
I agree with that. I think that's a valid point. So whatever we need to do
Like to make a motion for that?
to have that
Yes.
looked at.
We don't need
I
to?
don't think
Okay, good, we don't need it. Okay, so a summary, we would like to move forward with procurement for Ballot DA with that process, and we would like to, Director Pitts, we would like to hear from the other counties on their experience with Ballot DA before we move forward. County Manager?
So,
Yes.
Chairwoman Finney, just one point of clarification.
Yes.
Because of the amount being 48,000, unless they can provide us with a
It's-
sole source letter.
48,000.
4,800.
Okay,
4,800, I'm
I thought
sorry.
you said 48,000. Okay, my apologies, my apologies. Thank you.
And the pilot program is free.
Yes.
Okay,
So we get to experiment and see how we like it
Yes.
first.
very good. So
And-
because of that amount, we only require the one quote, and we'll work that through purchasing. Thank you. I'm sorry for confusing it.
No, that's okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So we will move forward on the agenda, and that goes to old business, and that's you again, Director Pitts.
Yes, I wanted to do an update with you all on precinct cards. So, we have been doing an audit, making sure that everyone is on the right, our system is on the right track as far as the redistricting, everyone is in the right district. Also with Zion United Methodist Church, saying that they were gonna be our Ellenwood location, but pulled out. We had to redo some things with that and reassign people for those areas to Village at North Henry, being the new polling location. So there is a process with doing it in the ENET system. It takes a couple of days. They call it the, I think, 4-night cruise. It's just a little way that they say it because you have to start it, and each day is a process. So that process ended today, and we will be ordering cards not only for everyone, but also for those that need to be aware of the new polling location for the November election for Ellenwood area. Just wanted you all to have an update on that. Any questions?
Just to make sure I heard you clearly,
Yes.
you're saying that you guys have ordered precinct cards for the entire county.
That will be done tomorrow. The process that we had to go through to make sure all the auditing, changing from the once opportunity to be at Zion, and they pulled out and changed, and then we were able to get a county facility that was able to schedule us. Then we had to go back and make sure we make that change as well, so those people can make sure they get a precinct card directing them to their correct polling location. And it's a process, and then we worked on that over the weekend. That ends today, so tomorrow we are scheduled to order for not only for the new polling location, for all voters.
Okay, and regarding the audit that you guys performed, did you find any other discrepancies during the audit?
No.
Okay.
Let me check with Catherine. Catherine, were there any?
There were minor discrepancies, nothing that would affect any of the previous elections.
Okay. And so, Ms. Catherine, when you said there were minor discrepancies, were those discrepancies where people were in the wrong precinct, or just some other idiosyncrasies?
Just some other idiosyncrasies. All precincts, no one moved from any precincts
Yes.
throughout the redistricting.
Okay,
So
so that
everyone
gives
remained.
us peace of mind with that, and
Yes.
also gives the public peace of mind and
Yes.
understanding.
Yes. There
For
were
clarity.
no precinct changes.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
And just, I want to be clear in terms of the Ellenwood district.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that you were going to make sure that there was signage at the old location,
So-
instructing people where to go.
Yes.
And in terms of the precinct cards, give me some dates and times in terms of getting those out.
So we'll order them tomorrow, and as state says, that it takes anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks for them to get them done. That will be a large order, so I think it may definitely be the 4-week. We have everything lined up and prepared to do the postage and get them out. As far as, and I apologize, can you repeat your first question?
Just in terms of the dates and whether you were able to get the signage.
Signage, yes, ma'am. We have several signs. We only need one for this particular one that we will place at the new community church that was the previous Ellenwood polling precinct. It is a 4-foot by 5-foot yellow sign, and that will be placed there, as well as we have different people in that area that will allow us to put signs in the community, whether it's a grocery store or post office. Most of the time they're compliant with allowing us to put signs up, so people in that area that go into prominent areas often can see also the change, not just at the previous polling location, but also in that we put up signs in that area so people can see it as they travel and doing their everyday daily duties or tasks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I will be discussing with you about the voter information, public service announcements that we've been working on. So communications, kudos to them, Ed Gore, Kevin, Williams, Meredith Butler, and Director Melissa Robinson, they have been, and also Nicholas Ivy. He has definitely been a great help, the entire team, basically. They have provided us 2 videos for public service announcements. One is basically about early voting and giving very important dates for not just early voting, election day, deadlines for voter registration, which I would like to announce is October 11th. Also, they did a public service announcement explaining about the last day, which is October 28th, to even request an absentee ballot. We really want to push that because that was a new SB 202 rule where you can usually apply for one the Friday before the election, but of course they moved that up some so that they can have more timely manner, as they say, to get ballots and people able to get ballots back to the office. They also did recently, I dropped it on our social media website just yesterday, and I've shared with you all today, on voter drive. We have been getting a lot of interest in voter drive. I would say we've had about 4 or 5 people to come by. We've trained them, had them to sign off that we've given them the correct way of doing a voter drive, the information that has to be provided during the voter drive, what they can't, the do's and don'ts, and then also the process and bringing back the applications once they've done the drive. But one problem that we have run into, which is one of the reasons of doing the PSA, we have some people that have just taken the initiative to do the drives themselves. What they would do is, instead of coming to the office and get instructions, they just take applications, make copies, and then they go out and get people's information and send them to us. So we've directed that to the Secretary of State to let them be aware of that, so maybe they can do a little bit more pushing on the voter drive information on the website, because not sure if they got the application from Secretary of State or not, but these people didn't even walk in. They have mailed these copied applications into us, so I'm appreciative to be able to bring this information not only to the board but to the public. We encourage that if anyone wants to do voter drives, please reach out to our office, and that way you are able to get an appointment. It doesn't take long, maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most, just to go over everything, get acknowledgement that you've received instructions on to properly do a drive. And again, that deadline is October 11th. The 10th is actually a state holiday. The state office will be closed, Secretary of State will be closed, so normally it would be that Monday, but it will definitely be deadline of October 11th.
And thank you, Director Pitts, and I want to echo what you said. The videos are amazing. They're great. They're concise, and they have a lot of good information. And I have personally shared those videos with friends because it's good information. So thank you.
Yes, and I welcome the board, any of you that want to share that on your Facebook pages or information to someone else, that it is live and is good to go. We do have one other video that they're working on, that they were waiting on some detailed information from us for UACAVA, and that is people that are in the military overseas or either U.S. citizens that live overseas. Also, there's going to be information given for students that are living out of the county that still want to participate into their local elections because they are still Henry County residents. So that is up and coming.
Okay, thank you.
I want to say thank you, Director Pitts, for following up on the education piece. I am happy to see that that is being done, and we want to say kudos again to the Communications Department. It is wonderful to see the ideas come into fruition, and so I just want to say thank you for that, and at this time you may continue.
And I have one last thing on the voter education. The posters. We have ordered posters as well as postcards. So what we're planning to do is have the posters just be one poster for each location. I spoke with the director of senior services. He is willing to receive the posters. They're also going to give a stack of postcards that can be set near the poster. So just in case if someone decided they want to, maybe they noticed the poster because they were actually there to see it, but want to grab one to take out. So that way we can cut costs on doing mailage, but actually be able to have some postcards available to be able to pick up and take home to family and friends. Do not have an exact date on when that will be prepared, but we are in communication with these locations and departments. I haven't spoken with Parks and Rec, and I plan on contacting Ms. Donna Holder if they will just take the information and distribute it. But I know Senior Services, they blessed us with saying that they can just, hey, you bring it to us, we're gonna go ahead and take it over. So that's in the mix and in the works, and if anything changes and we move forward between now and the next meeting, I'll definitely send you all an email and updating you.
Well, Parks and Rec can do the same thing. I mean, there's only 4 centers same as senior centers, so they can do basically the same thing.
I would hope so, but I don't want to speak for them.
And also, Director Pitts, what about our libraries here in Henry
That's
County?
included as well. I have to just make contact and see how they want us to, go what process they would like us to take, whether to get with them at a certain time or as Senior Services is doing, just taking them and distributing them to their areas.
One last question. How can our constituents, how can the Henry County see those videos?
So those videos are located on our Facebook page, also on YouTube, and if I'm not mistaken, it's being ran on Henry TV.
Okay.
Henry TV channel 180.
Okay, thank you. And in our meeting with communications, we did inquire about having links placed on our page, on the elections page.
And I will do an update on that. I'll follow up with them on doing the links on the actual elections page.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have actually shared on my Facebook page, and some other friends have shared it on their pages too. So that's an excellent way of getting it out.
Yes, ma'am. Excellent way to keep it going and rotating out. Any more questions about voter education information? So next I'm gonna go with new poll pads. I'm gonna have Ms. Catherine Glenn, our supervisor with elections and voter registration, to explain about our new poll pads.
Good afternoon, board, members of the, our county was approved to participate in the 2022-2023 update of the poll pad cellular upgrade. So no longer will we have this long, slow import of data and all of the downtime with our poll pads. Our team transferred the custody of the old poll pads to the Secretary of State on September 22nd, and we received our new poll pads on Friday, September 30th. We are waiting receipt of our black charging cords. Because of the different port to charge, we had to get all new 150 new cords, so those have been ordered. And we will test to see if they're as great as we have been told when the data is to be imported. Any questions?
Well, I don't have a question. I just think it's great that we got the new poll pads, and I'm so glad that you said something about the cords, because visiting some of the polling places, I found that the cords are coming out, they're not working. So I'm glad that you ordered new cords. Thank you so very much.
All brand new? Yes, ma'am.
Supervisor Glenn, thank you again for sharing that information and for taking the initiative to request to be a part of the poll pad pilot. The question is, because they are cellular, is the onus on the Henry County Board of Elections to have a cellular plan, or is the Secretary of State providing that service?
Secretary of State is providing, and it appears that it's Verizon, so we know Verizon is wide spread service, so we should not have the downtime that we have experienced in the past.
The other question is, how long is the pilot? Is it just for this election cycle? And
2022, 2023, so, and these are ours. We
okay.
gave them back the old ones, and we have new ones. All counties did not get in on the, but we did, so yay.
One other question, after the pilot, what is the process for the cellular service?
They have not gone that far in informing us, but we've never had to pay for that in the past, anything of that nature, so we will see. But right now, it's on the Secretary of State's office.
I would recommend asking, because I would want to know as you prepare for next year's budget, in case that's something that you need to include, a
Yes.
cellular service for those poll pads. I don't know if the Secretary of State plans to continue to offer that, but I will ask in case you need to include it in your budget for next
We
year.
will definitely get you that answer, but because they titled it 2022 to 2023, not knowing when their 2023 ends, but we will get you that answer.
Okay. Thank you so much, Supervisor Glenn.
You're welcome.
Next, we have on the agenda the ICG City County Combined Ballot, and Attorney Rowan. That was a follow-up question for you. At the last meeting, we, Director Pitts brought the IGAs to our intergovernmental agreements to our attention, and I had a question about whether we could include in the IGAs recommendations for the counties to combine city and county ballots.
Okay, thank you. First, Director Pitts did send me a copy of the IGA, so I was able to review them. And I started the process by looking to see why the county was actually having a separate ballot in the first place. Why is this the current process? I didn't see anything in the IGA that required it, and I didn't see anything in the statute that required it. I did have some preliminary conversations with attorneys from the other cities. Apparently, there had been some information from the Secretary of State that I now need to verify that indicated that the reason why the ballots were divided is because each municipality had to be divided up a certain way. And because of their population numbers, those polling places needed to be in certain areas that were separate from the county's polling places. And that's why the ballot for the city and the ballot for the county were separate. So I'm going to reach out to the Secretary of State's office to first verify that information, because I did not see it spelled out in any of the statutes. But from the attorney that I spoke with from one of the cities so far, they have an interest in having the city and county ballots on the same ballot. So it's not necessarily an issue of changing the IGAs. If it's a population issue and the county's population has grown, then it's more of a circumstance, and the information that they receive from the Secretary of State is actually valid. Then it's more of a conversation between the county and the cities regarding the populations and how we can do that polling place, and then how we can combine the ballots from there. So my first step is going to be to actually confirm that information from the Secretary of State, because it's not anything that I can find, but I don't want to just discard it just because I can't find it at this point. So I will continue to notify you and continue to reach out to the remainder of the cities to see if there was a population difference, or they had a preference for the separation of the ballots as to why that was being done in the past.
And Attorney Rowland, thank you so much for the time and the effort and the research that you've done so far, and we appreciate it. Also, I think it was the city of Hampton, is that correct? They had combined theirs, and there may be that county attorney may be someone you can reach out to because they did combine their city and county. So they may be able to give you some information that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So you can probably reach out to their county attorney. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Does anybody on the board have any additional questions?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say that this is something that the voters of Henry County want. They want to be able to not have to go to different polling places in order to vote. And so this is something that we're doing to ensure that we make it easy for the voters.
Yes, thank you, Board Member Smells. That's exactly the reason why we're going down this road, to figure out if it's something that the Henry County Board of Elections can do, because we cannot legally combine those ballots, but we want to know if there's something that we can do to recommend or encourage that to happen. So thank you again, Attorney Rowan. As I look at the agenda, we do not have anything under new business. So we're going to go directly to executive session, which we're going to go into executive session for personnel reasons. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for us to convene into executive session.
I second.
Can I have a vote? It's a majority. Thank you, everyone. We will convene into executive session and we will be back. Okay, it is 4:39 and we are back from executive session where we discuss personnel. I'd like to get a motion to come back into session from executive session, to close out the executive session.
So moved, Madam Chair.
I second.
Can I get a vote? Majority. Now I'd like to get a vote to bring us back into session. A motion. I'm sorry.
So moved. I second.
Can get a vote, please? It's a majority. Thank you. Next, we have on the agenda public comments. No public comments today? Right. Thank you. So we will move forward. Just want to remind everyone in the public and online that we now take public comments up to the day and up right until we start public comments during our meetings. We want to make sure we hear from the public, from our voters here in Henry County. You have time till the day of the meeting to sign up for public comments. Our next meeting will be November 2nd, 2022. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. The next thing on our agenda is board comments. Do we have any board comments?
I have none, Madam Chair.
Vice Chair?
The only comment that I want to say to the public is please register to vote. You have until October 11th.
Yes.
And please exercise your right to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Our next meeting will take place November 2nd, 2022 at 1 p.m. here in this room. November 2nd, 2022 at 1 p.m. I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
I so move, Madam Chair, that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Can I get a vote? Majority. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.